Las Vegas sells a fantasy: neon lights, open bars, the promise that somehow, this time, the house isn't going to win. And millions of people show up every single year ready to believe it. But buried between the glossy Instagram posts and the hotel lobby cocktails are places that consistently leave visitors feeling cheated, exhausted, or just deeply confused about why they bothered. These are 5 places in Las Vegas that tourists regret visiting. Place 5. The Fremont Street Experience. Let's get one thing straight. Fremont Street used to be something. Back in the 1940s and 50s, it was the literal center of Las Vegas. The Golden Nugget opened here in 1946. Binion's Horseshoe followed in 1951. For decades, this was where serious gamblers came, where the real money moved, and where Las Vegas earned its reputation before anyone had thought to build anything grand on the Strip. When casino development migrated southward through the 1970s and 80s, downtown began to decline, and the city responded in 1995 with a $70 million urban renewal project, a 90-foot-tall steel canopy stretching about 1,500 feet over 4 city blocks, rebranding the entire stretch as the Fremont Street Experience. The canopy itself, officially called the Viva Vision Canopy, is now the largest LED display screen in the world, with over 49 million LEDs running light shows synchronized to music every hour after dark. On pure spectacle terms, that is legitimately impressive. The problem isn't the canopy. The problem is the space underneath it, and what the whole package delivers relative to what people expect when they come here looking for the soul of old Las Vegas. The pedestrian mall runs day and night, but after dark is when it becomes the version that tourists anticipate and frequently the version that disappoints them most. The crowds are genuinely dense during peak hours, particularly on Friday and Saturday nights. The street performer situation along the walkway is an ecosystem unto itself. Costumed characters, musicians, painted performers, acrobats, and people whose act consists mostly of existing in an unusual costume and waiting for someone to offer them $1. The quality varies enormously. Some performers are skilled and entertaining. Others are working the transactional angle hard enough that you feel a mild social obligation the moment you make eye contact. Tipping culture is alive and aggressive on Fremont Street, and if you arrive expecting a loose, festive atmosphere, what you sometimes get instead feels more like navigating a gauntlet of performance-adjacent fundraising. The zip line runs overhead and is exactly what it sounds like. Offered in 2 versions, a seated ride called Slotzilla Lower Zip at around $30, and a Superman-style horizontal body position launched from the upper deck at roughly $45 to $55. It covers about 850 feet of the mall and lasts approximately 1 minute. Plenty of visitors do it and find it genuinely fun. Plenty of others pay, ride, and spend the next hour doing quiet math about what that money could have covered at dinner. The casinos themselves are the deeper issue. The gaming floors on Fremont Street are older, smaller, and far less polished than anything a few miles south on the Strip. The carpet patterns belong to a specific era. The ceilings are lower. The slot machines are a mix of the new and the distinctly vintage. Binion's Horseshoe carries genuine historical weight. It is where the World Series of Poker originated in 1970, founded by Benny Binion. But the current property operating under that name is a fraction of what it was at its peak. The Golden Nugget is the exception to the general tone. It remains legitimately upscale, maintains a pool with a shark tank visible through a glass tunnel, and consistently earns better reviews than its neighbors. But it stands out precisely because most of what surrounds it has aged without much deliberate investment. The food and drink options along the mall range from casino buffets of variable quality to fast food-style counters to a handful of independent restaurants that are actually worth your time. The Plaza Hotel at the north end has a decent rooftop bar. Oscar's, a steakhouse inside the plaza, run by former Las Vegas Mayor Oscar Goodman, gets solid reviews. The Mob Museum, located a few blocks north on Stewart Avenue, is a genuinely excellent attraction with well-curated exhibits on organized crime's relationship to Las Vegas. But it's technically separate from the Fremont Street experience itself, and the tourists who loved their trip downtown often credit the Mob Museum rather than the mall beneath the canopy. One visitor summed it up on a travel forum. "I thought it would feel like old Vegas. It felt more like a mall with slot machines and a very loud ceiling." That's not entirely fair, and it's not entirely unfair. The Fremont Street experience is entertaining if you come knowing what it actually is: a loud, commercially organized pedestrian carnival built over the foundations of something that was once more organically interesting. The history is still technically there. It just has 49 million LEDs on top of it and a $30 zip line cutting through the middle. What the city did in 1995 was a genuine act of urban survival. Downtown Las Vegas was losing ground fast, and the Fremont Street project stopped the bleeding and gave the area a reason to keep drawing visitors. That's a legitimate achievement on the city's part. But the trade-off was atmosphere. And atmosphere was the main thing people came to Fremont Street to find in the first place. Tourists who arrive expecting the mood of the Vegas that Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack inhabited, the grit, the smoke, the weight of all those decades, leave feeling like they got the renovation and missed the building entirely. Place 4. The Las Vegas Strip, specifically walking it. Before any objections, yes, the Strip is the point of Las Vegas. The Bellagio, the Venetian, Caesar's Palace, the MGM Grand. These are iconic properties, and their interiors are genuinely worth exploring. This is not an argument against visiting the Strip. This is an argument against a specific decision that a remarkable number of tourists make and quietly regret by the time the sun hits its peak, attempting to walk the entire thing on foot. The Las Vegas Strip officially refers to the stretch of Las Vegas Boulevard South, running approximately 4.2 miles between Mandalay Bay at the southern end and the Strat Hotel, formerly known as the Stratosphere, at the north. On a map, this looks manageable. A brisk walker could theoretically cover 4.2 miles in under 90 minutes under neutral conditions. Las Vegas does not provide neutral conditions. The heat is the first and most forceful thing to address. Las Vegas sits in the Mojave Desert. Summer temperatures, running June through September, routinely exceed 105 degrees Fahrenheit and regularly reach 115 degrees Fahrenheit, 46 degrees Celsius. The Strip's sidewalks are wide, exposed, and almost completely shadeless. The pavement radiates heat upward while the sun delivers it from above, and the buildings on either side do not provide meaningful shade for most of the day. Tourists from temperate climates, the Northeast, the Pacific Northwest, Europe, Canada, chronically underestimate what sustained desert heat actually feels like when you're moving through it on foot. The result, during summer months, is a fairly reliable pattern of enthusiastic morning departure from the hotel, deteriorating comfort through late morning, and a late afternoon retreat involving a great deal of cold water and a long sit-down somewhere with air conditioning. Heat exhaustion is not a hypothetical hazard. Las Vegas emergency services field heat-related calls throughout the summer season. Even outside of peak heat, the distances on the Strip are deceptive in a way that seems almost deliberate. The hotel casinos are enormous structures set back from the road, with long driveways and wide entrance plazas. The actual entrance of one casino and the actual entrance of the next can be a 15 to 20-minute walk when you account for the full pedestrian path. And that's before you try to cut through a casino floor to save time, which is where the architectural design of these buildings becomes your active opponent. Casino interiors are built to disorient. There are no straight corridors, no obvious lines to exits, no logical shortcut from one side of the property to the other. You enter looking for a passage through and find yourself routed through the gaming floor, past the restaurants, past the shops, and somehow facing the direction you just came from. This isn't accidental. It's the product of decades of deliberate design intended to maximize time spent inside the building. It works extremely well when you want to gamble. It works as a low-level form of madness when you just want to get somewhere. The pedestrian bridges at major intersections add another layer of friction. To handle foot traffic at crossing points like Flamingo Road, Tropicana Avenue, and Spring Mountain Road, the Strip uses elevated walkways that keep pedestrians separated from vehicle traffic. They're a reasonable solution to a real logistical problem, but they extend walking distance and require either escalators, which are frequently out of service, or stairs. For anyone with strollers, mobility challenges, or legs that have already covered 2 miles in the Nevada sun, these bridges register somewhere between inconvenient and genuinely discouraging. A travel writer described walking the full Strip in summer as a masterclass in how far the human body can be pushed before it demands a $22 poolside cocktail and a sit-down. The Strip's walkable attractions are real. The Bellagio fountains perform on a public schedule at no charge and remain one of the genuinely impressive free spectacles in American tourism. The Mirage's volcano display ran nightly for years before the property closed for renovation in 2023, ahead of its rebranding as a Hard Rock hotel. The architecture, the signage, the overall density of spectacle, all of it is worth experiencing from street level, at least once. The Strip at night, in particular, has a specific visual intensity that photographs can't fully convey, and that most people find worth seeing in person. But experiencing the Strip and systematically walking its entire length are two different activities, and confusing them is a reliable path to the kind of physical exhaustion that puts a ceiling on the rest of the trip. A short ride share or a dose of strategic planning covers the same ground with considerably less suffering. Place 3, the High Roller Observation Wheel. The High Roller opened in March 2014 as the centerpiece of the Link Hotel and experience development on the Mid-Strip, replacing a stretch of what had previously been low-profile retail. At 550 feet tall, it was the tallest observation wheel in the world at the time of its opening, a distinction it held until the Ain Dubai wheel opened in the United Arab Emirates in October 2021 at 689 feet. The High Roller still holds the title in the Western Hemisphere, and it is a genuinely prominent feature of the Las Vegas skyline, visible from considerable distance along the boulevard. The mechanics of the ride are simple. You board one of 28 enclosed, air-conditioned spherical cabins at ground level. Each cabin holds up to 40 passengers and contains a bench running around its perimeter and a clear, panoramic shell. Over 30 minutes, your cabin completes one full revolution. At the apex, 550 feet above the Strip, you have an unobstructed view in every direction. The Las Vegas Valley spreads beneath you, the casino corridor runs south and north below, and on clear days, which Las Vegas delivers in abundance, the mountains on the western and eastern edges of the basin are visible in full. The Spring Mountains to the west and Frenchman Mountain to the east make it clear, in a way that's hard to grasp at street level, just how completely this city was built in the middle of a desert valley that has no geographic reason to support it. The nighttime view, specifically, is worth acknowledging. When the Strip is fully lit, which it is every night, the visual from 550 feet is remarkable. The concentration of light in the valley against the darkness of the surrounding desert is the kind of view that earns a genuine moment of appreciation from almost everyone who sees it. This is not a bad attraction. The complication is what the experience costs relative to what it delivers. Daytime tickets generally run $25 to $37 per adult, depending on the season and day of the week. Evening tickets, The desirable ones range from $37 to $57. The Happy Half Hour open bar cabin option, where a private cabin is stocked with unlimited drinks for the duration of the ride, runs from approximately $45 to $67 per person. A family of 4 going up in the evening on the standard ticket is looking at $150 to $230 before any incidentals. For 30 minutes in a revolving pod, the value argument is a difficult one to win, especially in a city where $50 per person buys you access to an extraordinary range of alternatives. A standard ticket to Mystère at Treasure Island, one of the long-running Cirque du Soleil shows in Las Vegas, runs in a similar price range and delivers 90 minutes of elaborate performance. A very good dinner at one of the mid-tier strip restaurants covers comparable ground financially and provides several hours of experience rather than half an hour. The high roller isn't dishonest about what it offers. It's just that what it offers is a half-hour wheel ride, and at these prices, the gap between expectation and experience shows up for a lot of visitors on the descent. The shared cabin dynamics during peak hours deserve mention. Those happy half-hour cabins are genuinely popular, and the open bar is used as intended. By the time a cabin has been moving for 15 or 20 minutes, the atmosphere can shift considerably from the contemplative city panorama that some visitors had in mind. If you're in that group, it's a party. If you were hoping for something quieter, you're in a slowly rotating party pod with no exit for another 10 minutes. One visitor's review was memorably direct. $40 to go in a circle with people I'd actively avoid on the ground. The view was nice, though. That captures the split fairly accurately. The view is legitimately nice. The experience works mechanically. The high roller is a well-maintained, properly functioning observation attraction with one of the better vantage points of any city in the country. And if you're someone who finds observation wheels genuinely exciting, if the vertical rise, the shift in scale, the city shrinking below you is an experience you seek out, then the high roller delivers that cleanly and without complication. The regret isn't about what it is. It's about running the mental calculation at the end of the ride and arriving at a number that suggests the money might have gone further somewhere else. In Las Vegas, that math is always close, and the high roller's modest half-hour experience is competing against a city that never runs out of alternatives. Place 2. The Las Vegas Arts District on the wrong day. The Arts District is one of those places that earns strong recommendations from people who've had great experiences there and gets left off itineraries by visitors who showed up, looked around, and left mildly confused. The difference between those two outcomes almost entirely depends on timing, and the timing detail tends to get lost somewhere between the travel blog and the actual trip. The Arts District occupies roughly 18 square blocks, centered around the intersection of Charleston Boulevard and Main Street, situated a short drive south of Fremont Street in downtown Las Vegas. The area began developing its current character in the late 1990s when below-market rents in downtown made it viable for artists, studios, and independent businesses to establish themselves in a city that had previously shown little commercial interest in supporting them. Over the following 2 decades, the neighborhood developed genuine identity. Galleries, working studios, independent restaurants and bars, and an increasingly dense collection of murals and public art covering almost every available exterior wall. The visual texture of the district is genuinely distinctive. In a city built almost entirely around corporate hospitality branding, the Arts District looks like it belongs to the people who actually live there. The monthly event that turned the Arts District into a legitimate tourism draw is called First Friday. Running on the first Friday evening of every month, it converts 6 blocks of the main corridor into a free public festival. Local artists sell work, galleries open their doors and extend their hours, food trucks line the route, and multiple outdoor stages host live music simultaneously. Attendance ranges from 10,000 to over 50,000 people depending on the month, the weather, and what's on the performance schedule. The atmosphere during First Friday is genuinely electric in a way that's difficult to manufacture. It's local, community-driven, and reflects what the neighborhood actually is when it's operating at full energy. The problem is simple arithmetic. Las Vegas receives more than 40 million visitors annually. First Friday happens 12 times a year. On those 12 evenings, the Arts District delivers fully on every enthusiastic description it has ever received. On the other, roughly 353 days of the year, the experience is considerably more muted. Gallery hours in the district are irregular by the standards of a tourist destination. Many operate only on weekends, some only by appointment, and a few maintain schedules that assume a local audience familiar with the calendar rather than visitors making a single trip based on a recommendation. Independent retail shops in the area similarly reflect the rhythms of a neighborhood business rather than a tourist corridor. On a Tuesday afternoon or a Wednesday morning, which is when a large proportion of Las Vegas tourists are actually in the city because weekday hotel rates are lower, walking the main streets of the Arts District can mean encountering more closed storefronts than open ones. The murals are always there. The street art in the district, some commissioned through organized programs, some arrived at by other means, covers block after block of walls and building faces, and it rewards serious time if you walk slowly and look at it. A few establishments maintain genuinely consistent hours and are worth knowing about. Publicus on Charleston Boulevard is a coffee shop, bookstore, and event space that functions as a reliable anchor with an atmosphere that feels like it belongs in a real urban neighborhood. Velveteen Rabbit, a cocktail bar with a strong local following, is known for well-made drinks and a space that feels lived in rather than staged. Cornish Pasty Company operates consistent hours and serves food that has absolutely nothing to do with Las Vegas theming, which qualifies as its own kind of relief. A travel blogger from Chicago was candid about her experience on a non-First Friday visit. I wanted something real and local. I found 3 open shops, 1 angry dog behind a fence, and a truly excellent latte. The Arts District is real. It has genuine identity, genuine community, and genuine creative output that the rest of Las Vegas cannot claim. It is worth building into an itinerary. It just needs to be built in on the right day, and the right day needs to be identified before you get there rather than after. Tourists who arrive on a random afternoon, having read the enthusiastic version of the recommendation, tend to leave with a fair amount of scenic murals in their camera roll and a quiet sense of having missed the actual thing by a matter of days. Place 1. The Miracle Mile Shops at Planet Hollywood. Every major casino resort on the Las Vegas Strip has a shopping mall attached to it. This is not an accident or an afterthought. It is a deliberate component of the all-inclusive resort ecosystem that keeps visitors on property and spending money in a controlled environment. Some of these malls are remarkable in their own right. The Forum Shops at Caesar's Palace opened in 1992 and were, for a period, the highest-grossing retail space per square foot in the United States. The Grand Canal Shops at the Venetian offer the specific novelty of gondola rides along an indoor canal under a painted sky ceiling, which is the kind of thing that's too absurd to dislike. The Crystals development at City Center features architecture by Libeskind and Gehry and qualifies as a cultural experience in addition to a retail one. The Miracle Mile Shops at Planet Hollywood exist in a different tier. They are large, accessible, well-trafficked, and they reliably disappoint visitors who arrive expecting something specifically Las Vegas about them. The mall has a layered history. It opened in 2000 as Desert Passage inside the Aladdin Hotel and Casino, built around an elaborate themed environment meant to evoke an Arabian port city, complete with winding bazaar-style corridors, a simulated harbor, and theatrical set pieces that were, by the standards of Las Vegas retail architecture of that era, genuinely ambitious. The Aladdin was purchased out of bankruptcy in 2003 by a group led by Planet Hollywood founder Robert Earl and eventually rebranded as Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino in 2010 after a full renovation. The Arabian theming came out. In its place went a more generic urban streetscape concept, an indoor pedestrian corridor designed to suggest a city street, with a sky ceiling that runs a continuous simulation of an overcast afternoon and triggers a thunderstorm sound and light sequence approximately every 20 minutes. The result spans roughly 480,000 square feet, contains around 170 stores, and forms a continuous loop of approximately 1.5 miles. The looping layout means you cannot get lost in any terminal sense. Follow the corridor long enough, and you will eventually return to your starting point. But it also means the mall offers no variation in visual environment and no clear landmarks to orient by. After 30 minutes inside, the pretzel kiosk you passed earlier will reappear, and the sky ceiling will look exactly as it did when you entered, and the thunderstorm effect will perform again with the same timing. The store roster is the central issue. Among the 170 tenants are H&M, Gap, Bebe, Levi's, Swarovski, and Victoria's Secret. Brands that anchor shopping centers in cities across North America and have no particular relationship to Las Vegas as a place. There are multiple souvenir shops selling the standard range of Las Vegas branded merchandise, which is perfectly appropriate given the location. There is a P.F. Chang's and a Buca di Beppo and a Strip House, the latter of which is one of the more reliable steakhouses in the immediate area. As a collection of retail and dining options, this is functional. It works as a mall. The problem is that it works as a mall is not a particularly strong argument for spending part of a Las Vegas trip inside it, particularly when the specific appeal of Las Vegas is that it contains things that do not exist anywhere else. The Miracle Mile shops contain things that exist almost everywhere else, arranged inside a building with a periodic thunderstorm simulation. One visitor's review put it plainly, "We spent 2 hours in there. I couldn't tell you what we were looking for or what we found. There was a thunderstorm sound effect every 20 minutes." There is one unambiguous argument in the Miracle Mile shop's favor: air conditioning. In a Las Vegas July, walking through a door into a massive climate-controlled space is a real and quantifiable relief. As a respite from the heat, as a place to find a meal, charge a device, or collect yourself before the next part of the day, the mall serves those purposes without complaint. As a deliberate destination occupying a slot on a limited-time itinerary, it represents a choice that most visitors revisit in hindsight and conclude could have been filled with almost anything else the city was offering. Las Vegas is genuinely one of a kind. There is nowhere else on Earth quite like it, and there are real, memorable, worthwhile experiences available there across almost every budget and interest. The city has legitimate spectacle, legitimate history, and some genuinely excellent food and entertainment that people travel specifically to access. But Las Vegas is also extraordinarily good at marketing things that look better in the brochure than they feel in person. It has had decades of practice at that particular skill, and it has gotten very good at it. The city's entire economy is built around getting you to show up, stay, and spend. And it has refined every tool available to make sure that happens. That doesn't mean most of what's here isn't worth your time. It means the gap between the marketing and the reality is wider in some places than others, and knowing where those gaps are before you arrive is worth something. Knowing which places actually deliver and which ones quietly take your time and money without giving you much in return is the difference between a trip you talk about for years and one you're still explaining to your bank account on the flight home. Hopefully this helps. If it did, hit the like button and subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from, and we'll see you in the next one.